Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hey. Welcome to Read, Watch, and Wine.
I'm Raya.
Treva.
Champagne.
And Lynn.
And today, we've got a great book to movie adaptation to discuss. And it is called Maid. Now, I feel like the book is called like Maid, and then there's the subtitle. I don't know, The Life and Journey or something.
Life and Journey of a Maid. Is that what it's called?
No, I forget, because it's more like a memoir because it is based on the true story, but I can't remember the full name. But it's Maid, and the author is
Stephanie Land.
Thank you.
So the book is called Maid, Hard Work, Low Pay, and a Mother's Will to Survive by Stephanie Land.
Thank you. I knew it was something. And then their series is just called Maid, and that is on Netflix. So
yes.
That's by Molly Meltzer.
Okay. Molly Meltzer wrote it? The screenplay?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to talk about today, and I'm really excited. But before we get started, what are we drinking? I got a bottle here, but I'll let Lynn describe.
Oh, no, I forgot already. Dorio? I can't even see it.
Sorry, it's Rio de Oro.
I know it's a Portuguese one.
Yes.
Right. So hopefully you guys can see it, but let me spell. It's Rio de Ouro. Sorry. Rio de Ouro. If I could read, I could do a little better job of that. But it is a red wine from Portugal. And it's half the bottle's gone, so good to say it's good. But
I'm sorry, today I'm drinking water and Skittles. That's my diet for today.
Might be cool to put some Skittles in that wine.
That could be good, but
I might make it too terrible. Sweet, Glenn.
So allergy medicine, I just gotta go for some Skittles.
Yeah.
Can you go for some wine? But yeah.
Oh, and it's that time. I mean, I'm glad because I needed that heat to come because this weather was driving me crazy.
Exactly.
But anyway, check it out. Actually, you can get this wine at Cooper's Hawk. So it's one of the wine of the month deals from Cooper's Hawk. So you can go there and check it out if you can pronounce it. But it's nice and tasty, and it's not sweet, but it's not extremely dry.
So medium body, nice, I like that.
Middle red wine. All right, so let's get started talking about this book.
Yes, this book.
First of all, whose pick was this?
Lynn? Yeah.
Lynn? Okay.
It was mine.
I mean, don't be shy.
Well, it wasn't, but I feel like I have no tan, so I couldn't put my arm out because I wasn't sure if it was show. I put it for my face.
The challenge is
it's been a rough winter. Rough winter. Yes, it was my pick.
Okay. All right, good. So let's talk about it. What you got to say, Lynn?
So I had heard so much controversy about it before selecting it because I was like, is it going to be good? Is it not going to be good? Wasn't sure. And I read it and I was like, I liked the book, but it was so much of her story versus like an accountability story. Like it was like her side, which is great, but it was just kind of like she kept talking about her husband or her ex-boyfriend and how she was living at her new boyfriend's house and how the old boyfriend ruined it. And it was like, well, how did he ruin it? So the movie, which we'll get into that, or the series, we'll get into that. The movie was for me or the book was so far-fetched that I wasn't sure how to connect with it. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense because I'll be honest with you, as a single mom, and I was a single mom for so long, like I couldn't even connect with it because I just felt like she was a victim a lot. And I just don't think that you have that luxury as a single mom. And so, because I know the struggles and how hard it can be. And, I know the struggles of a single mom. It's sort of like, why it just seemed like in the book, she was constantly a victim. And it was like everybody else's issue but hers. But to me, I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, but you moved in with this guy simply because he had a house. And then there's so much stuff that you kind of just let happen. And you knew it was going to happen. And you knew that wasn't a good environment. I mean, she had this apartment that it took her forever to get. She busted her butt to finally get this apartment. She sort of had this rhythm going, and she just uprooted and left that apartment to go live with this guy. And I'm like, well, why? Why did you do that? Like, why would you give up your stability? So
but then was there and unhappy. And I'm like, yeah, you were unhappy because you just saw it as being a bigger, better picture versus making a strategic choice.
Yes.
Better.
So I get it. It was hard to connect. I couldn't even relate to it as a single mom and the stupid decisions that she made, because I feel like none of her decisions really, were about trying to make a better life for her and her daughter. It was about, how can I get this man to help me take care of me? Or how this man is going to help take care of us. I don't know. I don't know what you guys thought, but that was driving me crazy.
I pretty much felt the same way. I try to connect on a different level, being a product of a single parent and watching my mom struggle or whatever. And I tried that avenue to try to connect with her, but she lost me a couple of times, and I'm just like, I can't. So
I just felt like, wake up, like cut it out, like stand up, come on now, like you can do better if you try. But it's like, first of all, that whole grass is always greener on the other side. And just like, I don't know. I don't want to say almost like a quitter attitude, but it was just like, like, I guess Treva said victim, but I'm trying to think of the words I'm trying to think of. It's like, okay, rescue me.
Yes, we all feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're struggling, but at the same time, you're not the first single mom.
You won't be the last.
You ain't gonna be the last.
Let's all tough through this as a village and get through this.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm a single mom. I don't know what it is like to do that, but at the same time, I know several single moms. Hello. But at the same time, she was making it seem like she was the only one to go through the situation, or the first.
Yeah.
You're not.
And her mind was her mindset was so crazy to me. Like the whole scene where she talked about, she felt like people were talking about her and saying stuff about her because she was using food stamps or whatever. Let me tell you something. I could care less if anybody was talking about me. I could have my WIC voucher. And I was just like, this is for the milk, this is for the Cheerios, this is for the cheese. I mean, and I'm like, yeah, this is about me and my baby eating. So I could care less. And it's just hard for me to wrap my head around, like, that's your focus when, there's just so much other stuff going on in your life that you need to be concerned about. Like, who cares what the person in the store says? And I don't know what that was about, but there was a lot of talk about like what people said, how people felt. Who cares? Nobody.
Like, I get the stigma about it. Like, it looks bad that you have to use this like government assistance, but at the same time, at the end of the day, if this is providing food and shelter for your child and you gotta suck that up. Mm-hmm. You gotta suck it up.
I get the feeling, like you were saying, Lynn. I think it's more for me like, oh, she's living off the state, not like you can't support your own self. You're not doing enough to support your own self or whatever. I think that's what, because I grew up like that as a child, me thinking like, oh my God, everybody thinks that, we're just doing this just because my mom is lazy or because she can't, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's I guess it depends on the person, but people take it differently.
But I get it from a kid's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, I think about like, I have never had less than 2 jobs, right? I know I'm busting my butt. I know so I don't care. And I guess I'm just a different person because I'm just like.
No, because I feel like most moms are out here with 2 jobs or trying.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the I guess I don't know. I don't want to say media, but everybody putting that in everyone else's head.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
stigma.
Yeah. So I definitely don't think it's true.
Yeah.
Because my mom was working, she had 3 jobs and she still couldn't make ends meet. So as far as that goes. So yeah, I didn't mean to say it like, oh no.
I wasn't taking it that way. I'm just the girl in the book. I'm just like, get over it.
I think too, yeah, we didn't feel that way when we were younger, but I do feel like reviewing the book in 2022 after the pandemic and people couldn't make ends meet and had to stand in line just to get free food. Mm-hmm. I think, the perspective on the things that she went through now, people probably want to strangle her. Because it's like, you think you had it hard? You didn't have it hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that really skews our view now even more because of what we've just gone through, or still going through for some people with the pandemic. But
everyone's story is different, and I get that. But it's just like everyone's story is being different. It's kind of like, I just feel like she capitalized on the victim aspect of the situation versus being like, you know what, I am not the only one. I have been there. I've gone from like zero support, my mom, my dad, zero support, up to going to college and raising a child, choosing to raise a child, like, done all that. And she's not the first person, not the last person, like I said before, but at the same time, it was like, instead of using it as like an inspirational guide to others, I felt like it was kind of like, oh, well, pity me and then look where I came from aspect. And that's the only issue that bothered me.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to skip to this, but I hated the ending of the book. Like, I just hated the way that book ended. It just wasn't conclusionary for me.
There was no closure at all.
It was just like, I'm moving to where, I don't know, Missouri, Montana.
Missouri.
Yeah, some place that
I'm moving Montana, to Missouri, and I moved. And I'm like, okay, so.
Okay. Is this what the buildup was all about?
Right.
Like, I would have loved to have seen her like walking across the stage, graduating in whatever degree program that she, because it was hard to get through school, or, I don't know, securing her first job outside of cleaning houses, because that was her goal, like something. But your big goal throughout the whole book was to move to another state.
Yeah. It's almost one of those things where, okay, well, where's part 2 to this book, to this story?
And that's how I felt, was like she left the door open for book number 2.
Yeah.
I took it as, okay, glad it's over. Goodbye.
I was there too, because, they talked about in the book her whole move to Alaska, and she lived in Alaska for a little bit. So to me, this move to a new state, like, why is that a big deal? You've done that already. You relocated, you live someplace else. The only difference is now that you have your child with you, but you've been able to navigate this system as a single mom for a bit. So I think you can navigate it there. But I don't know.
She was more wanting to move to this place because the place got so much hype, I guess, or it's supposed to be like the in crowd or whatever the case is. She thought it was
for
better.
Her art school.
Huh?
For her art school.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a nice story.
Yeah.
But it was, like you said earlier, Lynn, some of it was just so far-fetched that I'm just like, I mean, come on. You're making it sound dramatic, but really, it's not dramatic.
You know why, though? You know why I think for me, it just was like, right? Because I am comparing this story to like The Help. Dude, you ain't go through nothing. And I don't mean, sometimes people say I always want to throw race in there, but to be honest, if we replaced you with a different color, it'd be a completely different story. Like,
it would be.
Well, I mean, and honestly, minorities struggle with being a single mom at a higher rate. And so it's like just the everyday struggle. Not that it should be. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. So for us, it's just sort of like, okay, yeah, I did that yesterday.
Right.
So,
yeah.
It's crazy because I have so many friends that have gone through this situation where they are single moms. They've legit, like, whatever they eat for dinner is what their kid did not finish. and they were finding ways to just pay their bills in any way possible. And I can't say that I sympathize. I can empathize, but like I've not been in that situation. And I'm very lucky to not have been in that situation. But at the same time, I see it as in like, sorry, allergies. Maryland's terrible right now for allergies. I'm sorry. But what should I say is I see it as in like a way of, yeah, everyone has their struggles. But at the same time, like you make choices every day and your choices are hard. Yes, they are. But let's choose to live in a positive light. Yes, the world's crumbling down around you, work or your car breaking down. Like right now, my car, I'm not quite sure if I can make it from point A to point B. Yeah, I'm not a single mom, but at the same time, that still is a moneymaker for me. So when it comes to struggle, writing a memoir about your struggles, it's like, let's be realistic about the point is that, yes, it's bad, but it could always be worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of my point.
I just don't think it was that bad.
That's where I am.
I can't speak upon it. I have not been in her situation, not a single mom with a kid, but at the same time.
But I feel like you struggle more as a Black woman.
In general.
I mean, honestly, think about what you just described, Lynn, about the fact that, you know, you have friends that their dinner is the equivalent of whatever your child doesn't eat and things of that nature. Like that's a struggle that she didn't describe. Like, you know, I just feel like, I don't know.
I think she touched upon it in like the pretend syrup type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but it wasn't like opening a cabinet and seeing one can of or one box of macaroni and cheese or Kraft and you making it and being like, okay, well, I hope my kid doesn't eat all of it because now I won't have any dinner.
Right. Yeah. And
I feel like even the book, they could have described it better, but also in the series, probably could describe it better too.
Yeah. So we want to move on to the series and talk about the adaptation.
Sure.
I'm sure Champagne's going to point out some things that are a little irrelevant, but
I'm going to try not to.
I'll just mention for her that I don't understand the changing of the names. Like Jamie, why is his name Sean in the movie? Like it's why?
Okay, so point is I like months and months ago read this and watched this when I was actually getting my hair braided. Like finished the whole thing, finished the book in one series, hair braided, done. Watched the series like the next day. And then when we went to record it like recently or now, I rewatched it and I was like, why did I think this was as good as an adaptation the first time? Because there were so many things that were so different that I just like was mind blown that I was not impressed by the first time. So I'm sorry I cut you off, but I was just like,
no, that's all right.
Wait, what did I miss the first time?
Right.
Continue.
No, I mean, I agree with you because there's a lot of stuff that was very similar that I was like, oh, I'm so glad they kept that in. But they like the time frames of stuff was so off that early in the book, it was throwing me off. And I'm like, well, that didn't happen yet. And that didn't happen yet. And so they were doing some flashback and then tying it together, but still the way some of the time frames that they put, like specifically with the accident, like where she was in her life when that accident happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was off. And I just feel like, well, why did you do that? Because I feel like it linked better to the way that she added it in the book. And I don't understand anything about those types of changes.
Yeah. I just remembered that I actually watched this series first. I didn't realize it was a book when we chose to do this. So I actually enjoyed the series. And now it makes sense on why I was so freaking confused in the book. I'm like, who the hell are they talking about?
The names?
Was it a guy name in the series? So now it makes sense. And I could not remember at first that I watched the movie first over the series.
Yeah.
But no. Mm-mm.
Well, like in the series, Sean was active and present.
Mm-hmm.
And I get you got to give him a voice. But in the book, it was like, I dropped my daughter off to him and then never said how like stable he was until like ended up going back. But it was like this ominous character for the longest time. And then like in the series, it was like, yeah, he was actively there, definitely being verbally abusive to her and emotionally abusive, 1000%.
Yeah.
But in the book, to me, I didn't see or understand the verbal and the emotional abuse, because it was like, yes, she was being controlled, but you didn't get to really see that in the book. And in the show, it was just like, okay, when did he come out like screaming at her, throwing glasses towards her face, which is bad, but I didn't get that from the book.
Right. I really felt this series.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, on a whole different type of level.
Right.
The series was a struggle.
Yeah.
The series was a struggle.
1000%.
Right. When you watch the series, you're like, dang, she went through a lot. That's just horrible. And so, yeah, now I'm like, okay, wow, she did have a lot. But the book, and maybe that's why they had to embellish in the series, because they knew it wasn't strong enough to keep the attention of the viewers.
Or maybe even the author meant it to be that way, but wasn't able to verbalize it. And then once she published it, was like, all right, well, I want to speak more upon the different types of abuse, whether it's physical or emotional or verbal, whatever it was. So maybe she got her voice after the book was published, before the series.
Could be.
But still, I was just like, whoa.
Or maybe Netflix took it over, as they have done other. And this one, they just actually made it better.
Right. Yeah. Although there's a part of me that's like, why does this guy always have to have a backstory as to why he's acting the way he's acting? So we kind of feel a little bit sorry for him. Like, I didn't get that impression in the book. Like, to me in the book, he just seemed like a spoiled brat, right?
Yeah.
But in the series, they had to create this backstory so that maybe he just didn't look so evil. And so that's a piece that I'm like, you know what? You don't always have to create this backstory so that the viewers feel sorry for this man, because maybe we don't need to feel sorry for him. You know what I mean? Like, maybe
he ain't have no hard life. Maybe he's a spoiled goddamn brat. And think he can get everything, and everything should be handed to him, and he don't got to work for nothing. He can do what he want. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. What she said. But that's what I didn't like about it. And then the father in the book, like, I know there was this scene where she kind of found out based on his new wife that he was kind of abusive.
Yeah.
But that whole scene where like the father was okay with him abusing the daughter, like, I didn't get that that's the type of dad he was in the book. So that kind of crushed me that he did that. And she didn't, I don't know. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. And it just I can just relate to this so much because I thought if I didn't go through my life in general, I would not have believed her father would have let him do that in front of him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, to watch that, it hit home on a couple of different points in the series. Yeah, for sure.
But did you get that impression of the dad in the book?
I did not.
Because I was shocked. I was just like, well, he just didn't seem like the dad that would do that in the book. I got the feeling that he really loved her. I mean, he was abusive to his wife. And maybe he just didn't know how to help his daughter, or, I don't know. He was a strange, dad, but I didn't get that he would have sat back and let the boyfriend do that. But I don't know. It just
in the book, to me, he more had the view of his daughter as his daughter. Like, they say a lot of men, even abusive men that have children, especially daughters, don't necessarily see the daughter as a daughter. They see her as female. And so however they treat females is how they're going to treat her. But he did not necessarily come across that way to me. He felt, he was like, he loved his daughter. Like, that's how he came across. So that to me just didn't go hand in hand.
And I think minus in the series, I think minus that particular scene with him allowing the boyfriend to do that, he did come across to me as very loving, minus that scene. So I don't know why they even put that in there if it wasn't in the book too.
Right. Champagne, let me just say, you made a statement earlier, and I wanted to just double back to say I heard you, and I'm sorry for your experience. All right. Anything else about the series that you guys didn't like?
Yeah. I mean, like I like the series.
I like the series much better. I mean, honestly, they did change stuff, but I actually like the series. I felt like it was more entertaining. I guess it should be because you're watching it, but it kept me more. I don't know. The book was sometimes like, oh, come on. But this was, I was like, okay, all right. Oh,
I feel like the series is more dynamic, where like you had the richer woman correlating to like the nanny or the the maid, and then like the maid having like other people that were on her same like level, where she was just like, look, I'm just trying to make it with your kid, my kid, all the above. So that dynamic aspect, I love about the series.
Yeah, and the way that they brought to life the stories and background stories of her clients. Like the one lady that was the hoarder and she needed to clean that house. And like, I just cried for that woman.
Me too.
That house was a disaster. And they talked about stuff like that, but I couldn't quite visualize it. And so when I saw it in the series, I was like, oh my goodness. So the way that they brought to life her clients was amazing. And I actually liked the relationship between her and the lady that ended up helping her getting out of the situation. Even though that wasn't in the book and that was completely different. I liked it.
So the one thing I do wish, like, I love how they had like the hoarder house and like she touched upon, or in the series, the porn house and the loveless house. I like that, but I feel like in the book, it was so tangible. Like you were in those houses yourself as you're reading the book, as she was cleaning them. And then like you walked into like a bedroom and you saw everything separate. And they did touch upon it in the series, but that was a little lackluster for me. But I still liked that they brought it in there. But I was just like, let's show this underlying aspect of how you see these people as cleaners, they're servants, but they really see all aspects of your life. And that's what I was like kind of missing from the adaptation.
Yeah, it was cut short. Those scenes were cut a little short.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
So I just want to mention two scenes, and I'm just curious of what you guys think about, or two things. Like, what do you think about how they brought her mom to life in the series? And then the birthday party scene where the friends all kind of like took over that house.
The series on the book?
In the series.
Okay, because I guess I don't remember that in the book. But the mom, I felt, was almost spot on from the book, though. But is that me? I thought she was a little kooky, little like, yeah, my problems is bigger than your problems, and my boyfriend is more important to me.
Yeah. I didn't get her having like these mental disabilities like she did in the series, but maybe I missed that in the book. I thought they embellished that a little more.
I think in the movie, they made it more a mental health issue than it came across in the book as well. I mean, in the book, to me, it was just like, I'm just one of these moms that it's all about me and what's going on with me. And I had you and I love you, but, you know, do your thing. I'm going to do mine.
I forgot that she had a mental health thing in the movie, right?
In the movie, it was more like mental health, you know?
In the book, it was like she's a nomad.
Yeah, she's a hippie, my man.
Going like with the flow. And then in the series, it was like, oh, she's like borderline bipolar, like going from like the good, the bad, peaks, lows, things like that.
Yeah.
And what was the second one you said, Treva?
Oh, I was just thinking about that birthday party scene because I wanted to punch her in the mouth for letting all of that take place.
Yes, she could have easily stopped it. Like, that's the reason she got kicked out, right? Like,
why would you let those people jeopardize your home?
Right.
Like, that's the type of stuff that's so over the top for me. Like, yeah, when you are jeopardizing where my stability with my child, get out of my house.
Right. Now, and take your friends with you. It's supposed to be a kid's birthday.
No people pleasing. No.
Right.
You and your people can be pleased somewhere else.
Right. You got lucky enough to get this apartment based on, no cheap rent. It was a perfect place.
Under the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So and then you messed it up.
There's no way he would have came there with no friends.
Yeah. That scene pissed me off so much.
New girlfriend and your new girlfriend's friends.
Right.
And then at alcohol, which I mean, I'm all about like, a little bit of bottle at like a 2-year-old's party. But at the same time, your new girlfriend talking about, oh, my weak man can slide through. Oh no, you and your weed man and him can go.
Go do it at the corner. Go do it at the corner and come back later.
Corner. I'm gonna need you to do that 6 miles away.
Right.
And then think twice before you come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Those two scenes drove me crazy.
Yeah, they did.
100%.
All right. Well, we're ready to rate this adaptation.
Yep.
I am.
I'm definitely.
I'm gonna give it a what is it? Long day. Because I really, 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 really like the series. They did change a lot. But that's kind of my middle ground for the adaptation.
I'm going to give it a half glass because I like the series, but I hated the book equally as much as I like the series. So half and half.
I agree with the long day because they did hit a lot of the points in the series. And it was really more the time frames that was driving me crazy. So it didn't flow the way I wanted it to flow. But overall, I think it was good. I think it was a good story, even though she drove me crazy. So I'm going to go with the full glass, right? No, long day of work.
Long day.
Long day of work. I'm sorry, I confused myself. Not the full glass, the long day of work.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with the long day. I feel like it was pretty much linear, but it had some striations. All in all, long day.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Not quite a full bottle, but
not quite a full bottle, but it's a lot of wine.
But it wasn't a flop.
And I'm gonna drink one anyway.
Right.
It wasn't a flop.
You guys check it out. We'd love to hear your opinion. So go and check it out and let us know what you think. Because we might get it all wrong and somebody else may just love the adaptation. And we love the healthy discussion about the adaptation. Absolutely. So let us know.
Please.
Follow us
on Read Watch Wine on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Yeah, Twitter.
Twitter.
Subscribe, comment, interact.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for always tuning in. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.